Hi guys, it's Mr. Butler again. Thanks for tuning in to the second class video. I'm going to talk about a few more details about the class, and then I'm going to try my first online lesson. The purpose of the online lesson is to help guide you through the process of doing the argument essay on pets in the workplace. Before that, there was some confusion about due dates. The argument essay on pets in the workplace is due next Friday. Even though this is due next Friday, we are going to start reading Mice and Men on Monday. So this is an assignment that you can do in addition to the work that we're doing on Mice and Men. And as everything else, all due dates are very flexible. What matters is that you continue to turn in work at your own pace, but that you create a steady flow of work coming in. And so that's what we're going to work on today. So right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about attendance. I don't have a lot of details yet about how attendance is going to work, except I can say this. The more that you show me activity, if you comment on a post, if you type in the handout and I can see that you've added some work to the handout that I've shared with you, if I can see that you've commented to a peer, asked me a question online, anything that shows me activity of you interacting with the Google Classroom is going to probably count as attendance, but I still need to give you more details on that later when I find out. But the key point for attendance is do your best to actively engage with the website on a daily basis. Check in once a day and you comment, post something, do some kind of work that I can see, and you should be fine. The other thing is, I understand this is going to be hard to do if you don't have a laptop computer. As I said, the city is offering laptops to students who need them. Discovery is trying to reach out to students to find out who needs them. We still need more details on how to get them, but those will come soon. Okay, so right now I'm going to start a quick lesson on the argumentative essay for pets in the workplace. And this is something that we've done in class. The handout's going to be familiar to you. I'm going to go through the steps in the process, and then I'm going to model some of the steps in the process. I am learning how to do this as we go. I know that there is a way where I can create videos that have a split screen of me on the side while you can have a more clear picture of the screen on the other side. And I will figure out how to do that. But for now, to you, it's going to look like you're going to see my computer screen as we work through this. And of course, you have access to these documents on Google Classroom. So if we look at the screen here, we have two documents. This is a Google Doc. This is what you should be typing in, okay? So when you do your work on the Google Doc, just click right here and type your responses in the space here. This is going to let me know that you're actively working. And what I can do is comment. I can actually highlight and click this button, and you may see comments in the margin on the right here. So I can comment and say something like, nice job, or something more detailed about the work that you're doing to give you feedback so that you can revise it. One of the advantages of using this platform is that it's really easy to revise your work. You just go in, change sentences around. You don't need to erase with a pencil or anything like that. So you always want to be updating and improving your work. So for example, if I see that you come in and you apply some feedback that I've given you and you update that work, that could count as actively being in the class. Okay, so let's go back to the screen here. This is the Google Doc that you would use to type your responses in, as I showed you, and we're going to use this right now as we start to do the work. So let's look at the, let me get you a clear picture of this. We're going to look at the steps of the process. This is just like class, and I'm going to be doing this with the text. One, we're going to underline. In this case, I'm going to highlight with the screen, relevant, accurate, specific, and sufficient evidence in the text. So you see this asterisk at the bottom gives us the definitions of those terms. Relevant, of course, clearly supports one side of the argument. Accurate means it's correct and factual. Specific is really the most important criteria for evidence. You want to be looking for numbers, details, statistics, expert opinions. And of course, we want to find a total of 3 paraphrase citations for each text. They don't have to be all for one side. You can have a mix. You can have 2 pieces of evidence for one side of the argument and 1 for the other, or you can have all 3 for either sides of the argument. This argument, of course, is about pets. Should we be allowed to take pets to work? And you know, I know right now I've got a cat. I've got a pet. Maybe she'll come by in the video. Who knows? But she's a big stress reliever for me right now, and during this self-isolation that we're kind of all doing together. And so you want to think about your pets and what it would be like in your case, I guess, to bring pets to school. But also in greater society, what those impacts would be if you bring your dog or your cat or your turtle or your iguana or your parrot to work. Obviously, that could create some problems. So we're going to look at that through the text. So let's look at text 1. Here we have the task sheet. The topic question is a classic Regents question. Should pets be allowed in the workplace? We're going to start with text 1 today. Remember, here you can see that you need to use evidence from at least 3 of the texts. This is really important when we're talking about the Regents test essay. They are going to, one of the first things they're going to look for is that you've cited at least 3 of these texts. And of course, I recommend that you use all 4 of them if you can, and the worksheets that we're going to do are going to help that. And of course, as we fill in evidence, we're going to cite properly by writing the text number and the line number from where we're getting our information. That's also really important for the Regents test. Okay, so let's start with text 1. Do pets in the workplace improve morale? Here is a word that you might not be familiar with, morale. You can see it's similar to the word moral, which might have a connection here. Morale really means your feelings of confidence and happiness in terms of the team or the group that you're working with. So if your team is feeling good in terms of their mood or their attitude toward their work, they have good morale. So if the question that this test is asking is, do pets improve morale? Do pets improve the mood of the people in the working environment? Okay, so let's go back to the text. Here we go. Human resource managers are always looking for ways to improve morale and create a more appealing workplace culture. This sentence is very general. It is introducing the topic. It would not function as good evidence because it's not relevant. It doesn't support either one side of the argument or the other, and it's not specific. It's not giving us any kind of facts and details. And this is typical for an informational text. It's not going to give you specific evidence right away. It's going to introduce the topic generally. Let's continue reading. The popularity of the recent film release, The Secret Life of Pets, 2016, underscores the love we Americans have for our pets. In fact, around 65% of U.S. households are home to at least one pet. The majority of these are cats, dogs and cats. So here, again, this piece of evidence, it's not necessarily relevant because it doesn't directly support one side of the argument or other, but it is specific. It has a detail. It has a percentage. 65% of American households have pets. So that's important because even though it doesn't directly support one side of the argument or the other, it tells us that most people have pets. And that might be relevant when we find new evidence later. So let's keep reading. The benefits of being around animals have inspired human resource personnel and other business decision makers to allow pets in the workplace. The top motive for making this allowance in the stress-reducing effect that animals bring. Employees who are less stressed at work are more productive and miss fewer days due to being sick. So I'm going to highlight these 2 sentences, and let's see if I can annotate here. I'm going to highlight them. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. Add notes. Wow. We are learning together. What does this do? Can I just... Okay. All right, great. So this, I'm going to put a plus sign. And this is how we annotate our work, okay? as we highlight evidence in the text, we're going to put a plus or a minus or a yes or a no, simply to indicate what side of the argument this relates to. So this piece of evidence, let's read it again, let's zoom in on it. The top motive for making this allowance, of course, referring to the sentence before, allowing pets in the workplace, is stress-reducing effect. Employees who are less stressed are more productive. Miss fewer days to being sick. So let's follow the logic here. Animals reduce stress, and stress improves the quality of the work. So if you're able to explain that logical connection, we have a quotation from the text that directly relates to your argument. So now I'm going to show you how to take this quote and put it into your handout so that I can see that you're engaged in the work. And if you haven't already begun this assignment, you can use this quotation for text 1. You can use this as part of your work. So let's see if we can use the copy paste feature because, oops, I'm still in the notes. All right, so let's see if we can copy this, right click, copy. Now I'm gonna go over here to my Google Doc. Let's see if I can paste. There we go. So now I've got the quote from the text. Let's make sure this is left justified. Perfect. Okay, so if we zoom in here, we want to look at the directions for this. 1, we're going to paraphrase evidence that supports why pets should be allowed in the workplace. And 2, we're going to justify how paraphrased evidence shows that pets should be allowed in the workplace. So I've got my quotation here, but now we're going to paraphrase and justify. So by paraphrasing, I'm just going to put this in my own words, and I'm going to follow that logic that we talked about before. So I'm going to start with this phrase. I'm going to say, since pets reduce stress, workers can get more done at work and miss fewer days. So notice I'm putting this in my own words. I'm restating what the evidence is telling me. I've paraphrased it. Now I'm going to justify. So now I'm going to connect this to the claim here, which is that pets should be allowed in the workforce or the workplace. So I can write, therefore, pets should be allowed to in the workplace to help reduce stress. Now what I have is evidence, I have paraphrased explanation, and then a justification. And we're going to do this many, many times throughout all 4 texts, but don't forget to tell me where this comes from. This comes from text 1, lines 6 through 8. And I have a piece of annotated, cited, paraphrased, and justified evidence. So let's go check our process. What did we do? We underlined, in this case highlighted, relevant, accurate, specific, and sufficient evidence. We annotated it. I drew that little plus sign over here. That's my annotation. That's all you need for that. 3, we paraphrased it down here. We also quoted it, which you can do. We justified it, and we cited it. So those are the steps. Underline, annotate, paraphrase, justify, cite. Okay, so that's going to be what you're going to work on for the next few days. Please try to do that for all 4 texts. I will check in with you again. You'll see another video coming about information with the other text. We'll take a look at the other text together. We're also going to talk about how to write the final essay. Eventually, you're going to write the final essay, and you'll see me giving you comments on that work, and then you can apply those comments and revise them. Key points. Remember, as much as you can show me that you are interacting with the Google Classroom, the better. Comment, ask me questions, make sure to do your work in the Google Handouts. If you're unsure or if you're having problems with the Google Handouts or your technology equipment is not sufficient, you can always do this on paper and take a picture and send it to me. Any way you can think of. We need to be creative here. but do anything you possibly can to show me that you're actively working. Once again, I want to wish you I really hope that you're safe and healthy and that your families are okay and that you're in a good place right now to focus on yourself and your family and, of course, your schoolwork. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions, and you'll be hearing from me soon. Thanks.